You have a piano piece. You want the orchestra version. How to make it happen? Let's learn from the master, Ravel. Hi, I'm Yang, a composer who loves studying patterns and turning patterns into compositional tools. Let's dive in. Rehearsal mark 12. Let's compare the piano score and the orchestra reduction. As we saw in previous section, the bass texture is enriched. The notes are played by harp, cello sustain note, and double bass pizzicato. The next three measures stay the same. The melody is played by solo flute. The rhythmic figure from the piano's left hand is given to the harp, while long sustained chords in the strings provide harmonic support and depth. Here's something very interesting. The harmony is thickened. Both the harp and the strings play more notes than the piano left hand. So where do those notes come from? Let's take a look at the first measure and list all the pitches in the piano score. G, B flat, D, and F. That's a G minor 7 chord. Rearrange those notes into a different shape, and we get the strings voicing. Now the second measure. We have A, C, E, and a G, plus a bass note D. That gives us an A minor 7 chord over D. Again, rearrange the notes, and we get the voicing used by the strings. This reinforces the idea we mentioned in previous episode. Melody and harmony are simply different ways of organizing the same pitch material. Same notes, different functions. And you might wonder why Ravel rearranged the shape. Why not just use this stack of thirds, the root position voicing? Look at the flute melody. It's D. Flute is soft at this register. Putting harmony notes below this melody note provides a strong support without overpowering it. Compare these two. Option 1. Root position of the chord. The top note of the chord is higher than the flute melody note. Option 2. Ravel's choice. The top note of the chord is the same as the melody note. Now let's look at the harp. Here, the harp plays two chords. It takes notes from the piano's left hand, then fills the space between the notes with additional chord tones. Notice how both chords follow the same shape. Three voices moving in the same direction, keeping consistent intervals. Next measure. Choose notes from the A minor 7 chord to fill the space. Ravel chose A here for the first chord. To maintain the same shape, we have C and E for the second chord. You might wonder, could he have used G instead of A for the first chord? G is a chord tone, and that would give us a nice and familiar three-note voicing. But if we do that and try to keep the same shape, the second chord would need to include B flat or B, and those notes aren't part of the current harmony, so that option wouldn't work. The next two measures stay the same, except for the last harp chord. More specifically, its top note. Here, Ravel breaks the pattern. Instead of continuing the same shape, he uses D instead of E. Why? Because the melody note is D, and placing E on top would create a dissonant major second above it, obscuring the melodic line. Once again, he pays a lot of attention to the choice of the top note of the harmony based on its interaction with the melody note. This harp and strings figure continues for 3 more measures. What's going on here? First, as before, we gather all the pitches from the piano part: G, B flat, D, F, and A. That's a G minor 9 chord. These are the materials that Ravel used to build both the harp and the strings notes. Start with the harp. Harp moves together with the melody now. With the melody A, D, F, Ravel harmonizes it by adding 2 voices below. To match the shape of earlier harp voicings, he moves the top note down to the bottom. That gives us the harp's new voicing. Now the strings. Their harmony has 4 voices. They take the harp's 3-note structure and add a 4th inner voice, maintaining the consistency. That's the strings and the harp harmony. Let's look at the rest of the notes. Melody is now played by flute and English horn. Near the end of this phrase, the first bassoon joins the melody and moves in an opposite direction. Interestingly, the last bit of this bassoon line isn't found in the current measure of the piano. Where does it come from? It's actually borrowed from the previous phrase. Ravel often reuses materials. Notice all the notes in this line are in harmony too. Compare these two with the bassoon line, without the bassoon. Hear that this contrary motion creates a sense of balance. About reusing materials, same with this octave gesture. It doesn't exist in the current piano measures, but if you watched the first episode, you'd know it's a major motif from rehearsal mark 11. Now it's played by violin 1, and at this small climax moment reinforced by cellos. The only notes that we haven't talked about are the grace notes. They are repeated. As we've seen with Ravel's treatment of repeated notes in a similar context, he connects them into a single sustained line. It's played by the second flute, adding a soft shimmer of resonance at the top. That concludes rehearsal mark 12. Thank you for watching this episode of Note by Note Ravel's Orchestration Toolbox. I've prepared PDF scores and orchestration exercises using the same tools. You'll find the links in the description below. See you in the next episode.